The following is rated F for fairness. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Welcome to the audio show.
So I keep saying to people that, I think Amber should be mindful as to how she moves and how she go about things because there are still more holes inside of the defense argument. One of the things that we looked at was something called condemnation defense. I want you to look at this right here. Look at this line where it talks about condemnation defense. If you file for divorce and allege specific fault-based grounds like adultery or marital fraud, the court may view your reconciliation as condemnation. This means you legally forgave the offense and you may not be able to use it as grounds in a future divorce. Note I use the word may because it's not for sure. In other words, what I'm trying to say to people is that this is not like a done deal. And notice Amber was celebrating this morning. It's not a done deal. But you know what? Maybe Angelina can say some more things to it. So let's get into it.
But me and Amber were supposed to be together, work on the podcast, go and get something to eat. But she didn't like something I said, so she left.
Oh, well. Chase Sarah.
So she was over here on the phone with her divorce attorney. And I guess her attorney told her that she could almost guarantee that she would get half of Anthony's money. So Amber's over here all excited. And I just told her straight up, you don't deserve half of Anthony's money. You haven't even been married to him that long.
All right. So the length of the marriage, does that matter at all? We were talking about this as well. And we mentioned that the length of the marriage does matter. Listen to me. It depends on how complex they go with this divorce case because it's not as simple as they're presenting on screen. But of course, it's the Wayne channel. The Wayne channel are going to try to do the best they can to communicate with the audience. We here at this channel on Unreal TV try to look at the aspects so that way maybe if you get in a situation like this sometime in the future, or even me, who knows? I may need to know exactly what to do or how to go about it or where to start. It may not give me everything I want, but at least it gets me thinking the way that I need to think. I want y'all to pay attention to this. So as you can see on your screen, so Shayla says something about the length of time for the divorce. And I said I wanted to look this up and someone says, but only they didn't sign a prenuptial agreement. Well, the truth of the matter with this is, right, and this is coming from another law firm again, because again, we tried to find some data that can give us some inkling. Yes, the length of marriage significantly affects a divorce settlement in Georgia, even without a prenuptial agreement. Georgia is an equitable division state, meaning the judges have broad discretion to divide the property fairly rather than defaulting to an equal 50-50 split. So this idea that Amber is just going to get 50% right off of the cuff is crazy. I could go even further into it, and it talks about the whole idea of the time and, the idea of the time. And one of the things it mentioned about the time, if I can find it, right, is that they may just look at trying to return Amber back to where she was before the marriage in itself. So we're not quite certain as to where it is. I give you two things. I give you the condemnation of defense. If they go for that and they start to work at that, how does that argue in front of the judge? Then we look at the whole idea of the length of the marriage in itself. Does the length of the marriage affect things? And we're seeing that that can also have an effect based on how they argue it. Again, friends, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just trying to see exactly what we can research on the topic and what we can find as of possibilities that could exist or where the script itself could go. But nonetheless, let's get back to the show.
Now, come on, preach.
So she didn't like that and she left.
Well,
But it was the truth though, Mom. She hasn't even been married to Anthony for 5 years. Why does she deserve half of everything he's worked so hard to build? Now, I'm not saying she doesn't deserve to be taken care of. She does in some way, but half is crazy.
are you waiting on me to comment on that?
Well, I know you are anyway.
Good, because that is crazy all in itself. One, to think that this is her divorce, like central. You don't come here and discuss your divorce here. This is
Okay, so let's stop right here. So Angelina says you can't come over to the house over here to discuss your divorce. At first I said, you know what, maybe this is strategic from Amber, but then I'm looking into it and I'm like, that's not really that strategic. Then I said, you know what, I think Amber can be out boasting. Someone says, I think Charmaine says, well, how is she boasting? I don't understand. She's not boasting. She was just talking to her attorney. That's fine. You want to talk to your attorney outside of the walls of where Shayla is regardless. because it's not like you talk to your attorney and then with talking to your attorney you weren't sharing information. You were telling the mistress that your lawyer says that she's almost sure you're going to get 50%. In other words, you're basically flaunting what your attorney has pretty much said. Rather than keeping that close to your chest and waiting and seeing how things play out, you're starting to basically say, you know what, hey, it has to work this way. That's basically what you're saying.
Totally inappropriate.
Well, I guess she felt like it's a safe space for her over here.
Her feelings don't belong in here. If you're discussing business, she can take her personal business outside. That would have been appropriate, considering the situation. But to try to throw that in your face, because listen to what really is going on in her head. She's going to stand in your face and let you hear a call about her wanting half of what belongs to Kai, and you should just stand there and take it.
Okay. And see, this is why it's dangerous. Because when you now start to present as though you're cockier than everything else, it now makes an Angelina. See, before, an Angelina would have been hands off. Now an Angelina now starts to take it personal. That, oh, so it means that basically you don't really care. In other words, where you are is that, you want to basically shove it, along with the divorce, you want to now shove it in our face about the actual divorce in itself. And people take these things personally. This is exactly why you keep your hands to yourself and your cards to your chest. This is also why last year when she was doing her thing with Victor, Brittany said, hey, relax. Remember that? Brittany tell her, hey, relax. I know you want to, whatever it is, but listen, can you kind of keep that under wraps until the divorce is over? That's why I rated Brittany more than anything else.
I mean, I don't think she was thinking about me.
Well, that's what you think. But I'm going to tell you once again, this young lady has no idea what divorce really means. Divorce boils down to 3 letters. WAR. It's war.
Thank you. And I'm glad she mentioned this because what people don't realize is that, yes, Amber is in a war. Okay. Recently, Iran and the U.S. has been entangled. Iran, U.S. and Israel has been entangled in friction in the Middle East. Do you think the United States want to tell Iran, when, what kind of moves they're planning or when they're planning the strikes or getting to know the strikes? No, you wouldn't tell those moves because or what type of strike you're planning or what you're trying to take. You wouldn't tell those things. Because once you do that, you're opening yourself up to be attacked. And that's the point Angelina is making. She didn't tell no lies there.
Nothing about it is cute. It's not fun. It hurts and it tears. So she wants to tear Anthony's. Okay, you know what? Here's the bottom line. She started this. She thinks that she's squeaky clean, but I know otherwise. You know why? Because this is how she's presented herself, but that's not who she is. Because you don't just wake up the morning of your wedding in the bed with another man and say, oh, you know what? It's time for me to be a wife. Doesn't work that way.
Okay, so I've commented on this, and Amber fans have bashed me for it. And I've said, you have to look at the optics of the entire thing. Look here, Shayla's thing is there, and Anthony has done his dirt with Shayla. But if we really have to view the two characters, and that's exactly what I was saying. So now they're basically trying to say them can bring the characters back into balance. Because we went so far up, we elevated the Amber character so much and said, you know what? My gosh, Amber's been very nice and whatever the deal is, because we tried to forgive what had happened before. But now when we see the Dave thing, that's why you're having now like just little, feelings, mixed feelings about the Amber characters because of that. And yes, the Amber character has cheated coming in and she's basically cheating going out. But let's see if Angelina would identify that.
Anthony better start doing some investigating and looking around. Because however things begin, they continue and remain.
So what, you think she's cheating on Anthony too?
Ma'am, do you know everything that she's done?
No.
Then why should we give her the benefit of the doubt? And she still wants 50%, which is utterly unreasonable.
That is why. That's why you don't boast. Because now you've raised the flag. See, Anthony wasn't thinking of investigating you because he was on a different track. But no, Angelina has decided she's going to make sure, along with Shayla, that he investigates Amber. Now, if Dave didn't matter, like Miss Grant tells me sometimes that Dave didn't matter, then why would Amber be hiding Dave? Why would she be saying in the lines that she has a lot on the line?
You know that, but you want 50%.
I guess so.
Over my dead body, will she get 50% of Kai's inheritance?
And that's what you want to know. Now it has become Angelina's business, because to Angelina now, Amber is now digging into her pockets, because now it has become now about blood, and this is why it is war. So if you're playing the game, play the game properly. If you're trying to get information from Shayla, then sweet her up and get information. But when you start to make it look like you're flaunting, people will take that a little bit differently. And that is exactly what was taken just now. But give me your take. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Talk to y'all soon.